What's up, everybody? I'm Dave Miranda, and this is episode 89 of Just Give Me 5. I hope you guys are doing great. Continue to be amazing. We got a really awesome show lined up for you today. But first, here's a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Del More. Del More is a real estate company formed by Sonia Moreno and David Delgado. Their focus and commitment is to always innovate and improve the process of buying and selling a home in Arizona's ever-changing market. So if you're looking to buy a home, make sure you contact Del More, a new real estate experience. If you guys caught episode 88, you saw we had none other than my man Larry Elliott on, and let me tell you, boy, that guy's got some stories, from touring with Eminem, Ludacris, D12, Nas, the whole Bionic Jive movement, and, just having his own studio for so many years, and being the reason that pretty much got Jimmy Eat World their record deal. He recorded the project. I mean, it just don't get no better than that, and just a really down-to-earth guy. Real happy to have him on the show. It was an honor to meet him. And man, shout out to you, Larry, and make sure you guys watch episode 88. All right. But today's guest is definitely an OG in the Arizona hip-hop scene. We're going to talk about his group D30 Ice and how they toured with NWA and influenced them into rocking the Raiders attire. We're also going to talk about being the only Southwest group to perform on Rap Mania. We're going to talk about his Fit Over 40 podcast and so much more. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you Coach Clarence.
What's up, everybody? It's Coach Clarence, and all I'm saying is just give me 5. I started back in 1983 as a DJ, spinning records on terrible turntables that weren't even designed for scratching. Okay. My mom had 2 turntables. Back in those days, you remember this, you would get a single and it'd have the instrumental on the other side for partying. Right, yeah. So, I would flip on the instrumental and I would come up with these little rhymes over the instrumental, just try to impress girls. I was a DJ. Yeah. And then my cousin moved in with us. We were in Stockton at this time. And in Stockton, back in those days, you had the DJs that would be up there with 6, 8 turntables going at the same time. That was a big thing back then. And so I was just trying to model. I was like 13 back in those days, trying to be cool, and rapping over the breaks. And then we decided to form this group called Hardcore. And then we moved to Phoenix. Okay, now you're talking this 86. All right, and we started doing our thing. Yeah. We were rapping, and back in those days, dudes would freestyle. Like I said, we never tried to get into business for money. We were just trying to meet girls and be cool at the party and stuff. Right. And so we would battle dudes at lunchtime. That was the big deal. Everybody had their rhymes ready at lunchtime to battle these other little crews. And that's when we linked up with the Exotic MCs, which was Rock, who eventually joined D30 Ice later. Okay. It was Rock and Sean. They were called the Exotic MCs. We never battled each other. We kind of just had this respect, like none of us really wanted to go there, but we would destroy all these other little crews. Yeah. And actually the first little mixtape we put out was a song called Yeah Buddy. It was the corniest hook ever, but everybody was bumping it. The hook was like, yeah buddy, yeah buddy, and everybody was saying that. Then we did a little rhyme, and that was the little hook back. I mean, I listen to some of this old stuff now, I'm like, man, that stuff was corny. But it was like in the 80s, so everybody was rocking with it. Right. We did a record called Hardcore Is Not a Softie, and it was a big deal. It was big more in Europe and down south than it was around here. Which is common when you come out with a record. People usually from other places kind of get into you before your local people did. Oh, sure. So we had a little local following, but it was really big overseas. So that record did pretty good. We were picking up traction. So then we decided to pull Rock in, and Rock, that's how D30 Ice started with the 3 of us. It was Rock, my cousin 3, and me. Okay. And we were doing our thing, and then Cube came in the picture, and we were just rocking it, just local shows, and just kind of making a name for ourselves. And then we decided, let's take this serious, let's put out an album, and then that's how D30 Ice started. And the first thing our album was called D30 Ice Down in 30. Man, I was 17, 18, it was crazy. Girls were screaming, like you're going into little stadiums with thousands of people. I'll tell you a crazy story. We were in Tucson, And that was a big deal because everybody heard of us in Phoenix. So a ton of people got on the tour buses to go down there to to Tucson. And we were the opening act. There was some other local rappers that were there in Tucson to open. Then we were pretty much the big opener before NWA.
Yeah.
And it was just a normal show. We're doing our thing. And we had this idea of having this stripper. His name was Naked P. So we would turn off the lights out and we would pump some like Luke stuff, right? And then he would just take his clothes off, and the whole stadium would go nuts to the point like Easy E and then would come out and be like, "What are these dudes doing?" Like, because it's so loud and the crowd was going nuts. And that was one of my most memorable moments. Easy looked at me and he was like, "You guys, like we knew we had to do something different because NWA was so popular and Easy. Right. We had to stand out, and that was one of the ways we stood out. We only had a couple songs at that time. And we were touring with it, doing pretty good with that. But touring with them was meeting a lot of people. I met Ice-T, Tone Loc, Troop. I mean, anybody came through Phoenix Southwest, we would open up for them. So we would come and do our couple little songs, and it was great just meeting those guys. But again, now that I think about it at 50, had I knew what I knew now, I would have tried to make connections. I would have tried to get more. We were just having fun. We were kids, like 18, 19 years old. We weren't thinking this is a business. Our first record, we got hosed, never got paid on it. It sold a lot of copies, never got a penny. Actually, that's not true. I got 33 cents a couple years ago, and I put it on Facebook. I was like, I got 33 cents for my record in 1988. Wow. Yeah. Man. So that was, I mean, again, we were kids. We were just happy to be on record. I was the youngest of the crew. That's why everybody used to call me Fresh Kid. My cousin was like a year older than me, and then Rock was a little bit older. And we were just having fun, and it became a big thing. And then we started to get business-like because we were, you know, as you remember, hip-hop moved on. There was what they call unsigned hype. We were unsigned hype. Like, we would be, this group was going to blow, and we were supposed to be following the next West Coast thing. That was the idea.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys inspired NWA, correct? With the whole
how we used to dress. Like I sent you the video of us on Rap Mania. That's how we used to show up at shows. Like dudes in trench coats, Converse, LA stuff. Yeah, we were like kind of a cross between like a Public Enemy, NWA, and X-Clan. Like we were kind of very militant. That was our thing.
Because when you look at their first album, NWA and the Posse, they were rocking like white tees and blue Dodger hats. Yeah. When Straight Outta Compton came out, it was the all black attire. Yeah. So you guys played a part in that.
Yeah. Wow. That's what we used to show up at the shows with, you know, obviously Phoenix back in those days, there was no football team. We were all from California. Yeah, everybody in the group was from California. So we were rocking Raiders, LA, Kings. Yeah, we used to rock the Kings hats, you know. Yeah. So that was our thing. We would all black. It was down and dirty, all black. We show up that way. Everybody was in black. It was with our crew. And I think that was just the thing. They took, you know, I wouldn't say they took it. It was just everybody at that time was trying to rock that. And they were just the more popular group.
What was it like doing Rap Mania? Now, what was Rap Mania?
Rap Mania at that time, they were basically, it was the 90s. So they were basically, they brought the hottest groups from the East Coast. You had LL, Run DMC. I mean, whoever, I can't remember, everybody was on the thing. And then they had Ice-T on the West Coast, Tone Loc. NWA wasn't on that. I think they just couldn't put them on. I mean, what song would they have got on like a nationally syndicated show at that time? Right. So we had a song called Non-Commercial, and they let us come on and pick it. We were the only group that was not really from the West Coast, and they allowed us to come on and do that.
Wow, man, so that was a show.
That was an actual show. It was a show and it was a record. Again, we didn't get paid on that, and that album sold a lot. I think about it now, but I was like 20. I was like, whatever. It's good memories. Like, and I see the views on YouTube, and I'm like, man, I could have got paid if this was now. I'm like, you can get paid for views. So, but you know, it was a good experience. I got to meet all my heroes were there.
Because you got an Ice-T story, correct?
Yes. Ice-T, man. Okay. I don't know how long you've been in the Valley, but remember the Celebrity Theater? They had I guess where the band members would play, the Oregon area.
Right across the street from it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So we all were there excited to see Luke. Ice-T was there. He opened up for Luke, and Luke was there. And I remember standing there, and Ice-T, this is when I started getting super militant. I became Muslim. I was like hardcore. Oh, okay. So I'm rocking a kufi, and I'm just like, got my African medallion. I'm just like hardcore. Man. Africa Islam is standing right next to me. Okay. And then Ice-T leans over to me. He goes, bro, if I was you, I'd take that kufi off. I'm like, why? He was like, take that kufi off. And I'm like, whatever. And I was like, whatever. I was still kind of thinking I was tough. And then here comes Luke with his girls and G-strings and doing their thing. I was like, put it in my pocket, baby. I was like, all right, Ice, I got you. Right, I get what you're saying now. Like, this is not the look for a dude trying to be at the Two Live Crew show. So yeah, we did a lot of shows with Ice-T and them. That's when they were just doing their thing. We would usually be the filler if somebody couldn't show up, because we were just traveling on our own dime. Wasn't getting paid. We were just showing up. I mean, they would give us like rooms and stuff, but we were so dumb. We were just like, all these girls, and we thought we were the shit, and it was like, yo, and we weren't business smart at all. A lot of young groups get beat like that.
Yeah, man.
A Run DMC, being able to come on and rock for a Run DMC, meeting them.
Wait, damn, when was this?
God, you're talking about this was they came to the celebrity.
Wow.
Beastie Boys, a Run DMC, and we did we got 10 minutes. And we got out there, and I mean, we were just trying to rock the crowd. We had one little song that we did. I don't even remember the song, it was so long ago. And just being able to be there, these were like my heroes at the time. Like Beastie Boys, Run DMC was so big. And again, back in those days, and it's funny now because I ended up getting a Nike contract to model for Nike, but back in those days, I was all Adidas. Like shell toe, head to toe. Yeah. There was no social media back then, so you couldn't document this stuff, and a lot of that stuff just been lost in time, you know? But that was one of my biggest favorite things, meeting them. Obviously, writing and giving feedback to Ice Cube when he started to write Gangster Gangster. I learned how to.
You were giving him feedback on
Yeah, he'd be like, what do you guys think of this? You know, we would be like, oh, that's cool, that's tight. Or then that's why I learned how he put songs together, and I learned that from him. Because we would just have our freestyles, and we write stuff down and be like, what do you think? Yeah. He actually showed me how to break a song down into parts where it made sense. So he'd be like, you know, here's a little something about me, you know, never, you know, got out of the penitentiary. I don't remember all the words now, but, and he'd be like, what do you guys think of that? Or we'd be like, oh, that's whack, or change this, and then it became a song. So, you know, going through that situation, sitting there watching him write those songs, the song about, I know that I ain't gonna say this girl's name, poor girl, she's married now, got kids, but the song about old girl in the Impala, that was a real story. I was there. I knew who she was. We used to have this spot on 16th Street, just south of Southern. Yeah. It's our little spot, and she used to come through. That story is 100% true. So when he wrote that song, I was like, man, he's in my opinion, one of the best storytellers.
Right.
So that's my second thing. And I never was, like I said, I never was a groupie. I was just, never thought it would even go anywhere. So I never thought I should document the stuff. Right. I should be, you know, trying to connect with these cats. But then I got into being crazy and militant. I got into some stuff, and then I went away, prison. Yeah. So that's how I got out of the group, because forcibly, I had to go. So I got back on the scene. Now we're in Death Row era, basically. Wow. So that's when I got back out and was back around.
Now, when you guys were coming up out here in Arizona in the 80s, how many groups were out here at the time? Like,
there were probably 10 or 15 prominent groups.
Really?
We would just battle. And it was nothing. We'd show up at the, you know, lunchtime and battle. We'd show up at the different clubs, and everybody have a couple. It was never like a battle like it is now, where you might get killed and somebody didn't like. It was just, we used to rhyme, and whoever had the best rhyme that day, you know.
And this was like high school?
For me, it was high school. Yeah, I was 16 when I got here.
You went to South?
Yeah, South Mountain High School, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to battle at the quads. If anybody been to South Mountain, you know what the quads are. We show up at lunch, and there was always a DJ up there. You had to be ready. So yeah, we would, and that's when the Beastie Boys had kind of just took off with that License to Ill.
Okay.
We would rap over their instrumentals.
And when you were helping Cube with feedback, was he living out here, or was this in
He was here. Yeah. Yeah, we used to be
going to, I think he went to Carl Hayden, right? And then
no, he went to some IT school. He was doing something in IT. Yeah, he was doing some architect or something crazy, which you think now, like, why was he even doing that? But he was doing that. So yeah, when he got together and started writing his rhyme, we would just have writing sessions, and we'd all try to outdo each other. Right. And some of the rhymes probably overlap, because I remember stuff I said that I'd hear him say, and vice versa. So we would probably overlap on some of the lyrics. We would sit down and write. We would have just sessions. We would sit down and write our ideas. Be like, what do you think of this? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. We got a little more militant than NWA was more like straight street. We started mixing some of the more like, cause Public Enemy was a big deal. We were, I met Chuck D years ago and I got really into that whole thing. So we were trying, if you listen to our album, which I'll make sure I get you some of those, it was like very militant, but harder. Like, yeah.
Right.
And then,
Like Paris,
in
a sense.
Paris was way a little more harder.
Yeah,
We were about right here to the Paris extreme.
Where you kind of had that,
Yeah, but it was definitely about the streets and it had a militant feel to it because you think it was back in the 80s, 90s. It was crazy.
Right.
Yeah. I had been approached several times as, you know, I kept DJing. That was what I did to keep me through going through the years. I was personal training and DJing on the side. So people would hire me to do gigs. I'd be in Vegas or Phoenix. I did a couple parties in California. So I was like, what am I going to talk about? Like, I'm a 40-year-old dude. I used to rap. No one cares about me. Like, no one even knows me. What am I going to get on the mic and talk about? And so I was thinking, I'm training all these 40-year-old, 50-year-old men and women. That's going to be my shit. I'm going to just talk about being fit over 40. Like, what's it like to be over 40? But it wasn't like being fit like somebody on stage. It's like being a father, being a mother, like, you know, the problems you deal with being over 40. Like, everybody can relate. And then I thought I have this built-in audience that's going to keep going forever because everybody's going to get past 40. So that was my initial concept, and I had no idea when I got on my first show. As you know, when you do a podcast, it starts as the idea, but when that mic comes on, you're like, shit. And they were like, just be you. And I'm like, I started talking about sex, dating at 40, like how hard it is when you got kids trying to date, and it just kind of took off.
Just real life shit.
Yeah, just real life stuff. So the concept is finances, mindset, and fitness. Now I'm getting people, it's getting to a point I'm monetizing. Like to come on the show, you got to pay, unless you're a homie or somebody that I really think your story is important. I interviewed a local rapper. You probably know him, Lucky Luck, goes by Lucky Luck. He's a big deal. You know, he's from Yuma. He went from being just a nobody in terms of his lifestyle to now he owns one of the biggest landscaping companies. I want stories. Like I don't just want you to tell me you used to be a rapper, you used to be this. I need you to give me a story so it'll motivate somebody. That's the kind of people that I try to have on. Like, and then now I'm getting people who want to sell stuff. And I'm like, you got to pay. And like, why should I pay? You don't have this many people. And I'm like, but I built this audience up to this point. You got to pay if you're coming on my show. You know what I mean? So that's what that Fit Over 40 is. And we are 104 shows in, 2 years in. And we are rocking. We are booked probably throughout till November right now. Weekly guests that want to come on. Yeah. And then when if a guest flake, like I was telling you earlier, I just go on there and talk about something. Yeah. We've had some hip hoppers on there. It just depends. A lot of people don't know. It's just generational. Like if I say I had Run DMC come on, people would tune in because they know Run DMC. But a lot of the local cats that I had come on, they're just for friends of mine. People were like, okay, that's cool. We would tell little stories, but it just didn't hit like if you knew somebody who became a big deal. Like if we get Cube on, that'd be great. But again, I never was a groupie. I saw him in Tucson when he was here a couple months ago. Just dap. I was never like that. My cousin probably has way better stories because he got into the lynch mob. Yeah. I was just more like, all right, those are homies, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I was over it at the time.
Every day, you know?
Yeah. And again, a mistake, you know, knowing these cats. And I even think if you asked them back when they started, they never thought it was gonna be this big money machine that it is now. You know, you didn't have endorsements. I mean, it's insane now. Yeah. Yeah. I would say my story from being where I grew up from, you know, South Central LA, getting out here, getting in trouble, going to prison, being homeless. I went through all those phases. And to get to where I am, where people ask me to come speak, they ask me to tell my story, people want to come on my show, I feel like that's my story. So when my kids go back and go through my shows, they'll have a story and they will learn from my mistakes, you know. I love hip hop. I'm not really crazy about some of the things people are doing in hip hop now, but it's still hip hop and that's their journey for where it is right now. I feel like my story now is I'm just gonna keep giving people the reality, the truth on whatever subject it is. And I just want my kids to be proud of me. If anybody else likes me, that's bonus. But right now, my kids like me. They joke, they listen to me, and they'll ask me something about something I said. Is that true? I'm like, yeah, that's true. And they're like, wow, okay. So, yeah, just want to keep keeping it real, man. I still produce music. I do a lot of podcast intros and outros for people. I've done some like small shorts for movies that never went anywhere, but that's what I do. I've worked with some rappers, but I'm kind of weird for a lot of rappers because they want to just do whatever's popular, and I'm like, stand out, do something different. So I'm not gonna have every rapper. I'm gonna have that one cat that just wants to be different. Yeah, and you know, as a music, if you come with something different, it's not mainstream. People are like, we want this. Can you do that? Can you act like that guy over there?
Right.
No, we want to keep it original. So, yeah. So we are talking about putting together a documentary of all this, but it's tough because I don't know if you're ever in a group, but when you have groups, there's beefs about different things. Who did what? Who shouldn't have did this? Like even talking about this, you know, I talked to the other members and they were like, well, we got to talk about this, and so-and-so's mad about this, and I'm just like, man, whatever. I'm not even tripping. Because none of us is getting paid off that stuff now. Although there is some things because of that record we did, but I don't care if I never get a penny. Whatever, my 33 cents, I kept that receipt.
Right.
So, yeah. So, and I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. You're bringing back memories because people think they ignore AZ, but AZ is a big deal for a lot of hip hop artists. You had to come through AZ if you were anybody. And that's the thing people don't talk about. You had to come through Arizona. Arizona was a big part of how the West Coast got big. You know, Arizona's a big market and people kind of shit on it because it's Arizona, but a lot of great hip hoppers came out of Arizona. All right, man. Check out my show, Fit Over 40 with Coach Clarence. It has everything. I talk about everything on there. Shout out to everybody who rapped and never made anywhere. Shout out to everybody who, you know, tap in and message and say, man, I remember when you did that, bring up the old memories. And just shout out to everybody that's still grinding, trying to make it. If you're really passionate about this hip hop thing, you got to keep doing it because it's usually not the people locally that are going to support you. It's usually when you get big somewhere else, then the locals get behind you. So keep working, keep doing your thing, and hopefully you get to my age, you'll have some good memories. Shout out to the council. That's our 5. That's my little 5 minutes.
And there you have it. Man, shout out to my man, Coach Clarence. You know, this was definitely a treat. Felt like I was reliving a lot of that history along with him. I mean, just being there with Cube, when Cube writing Gangsta Gangsta and actually having some input on it, like, that's legendary in itself, you know? And definitely got to have a book, some kind of doc. I mean, the story is definitely incredible, my brother. And I want to thank you for coming on our platform. And I wish you nothing but continued success and nothing less. Make sure you guys are following him on social media. Shout out to my brother Jimmy Nelson on the camera. Make sure you guys subscribe to that YouTube channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right. Well, this was definitely one for the books. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Until next time, stay tuned, stay blessed, stay healthy, and just give me 5, y'all.
Everything you get, you got the world.